It all started kind of with a joke, really. Someone told me a joke which put the two concepts of Dolly the sheep and Dolly Parton together, and I thought, who's mad enough to possibly consider taking something like this on? I mean, just to find out, just to explore it. Is there a story in here? The central character of Dolly, this show, is someone who is a young woman who's trying to be a Dolly Parton tribute act, and immediately there was the glue. There was the historical connection between Dolly and Dolly in terms of how the sheep was named. But what you came back with was something that kind of completely fleshed out that middle territory.
I mean, the reason why Dolly Parton and Dolly the sheep are connected is because Dolly the sheep was cloned from a mammary cell. So that was that was the reason. I didn't know this at all. I didn't really know much about it at all. And then Daniel arrived and said, "Okay, I've got this idea and I've got this book, the uses and abuses of cloning." Which I've still got.
You still haven't got that? Yeah. I want that back.
Yeah, I should have mentioned that. When we first started talking, it almost felt like it'd be a slightly different approach. Not a devised piece, but something that was more of a mixture between script and devising somehow to get to this place.
Kind of a collage of a show, almost a cabaret of a show.
What was the word you got at the end?
Sheep farmer.
Was it sheep farmer?
That's what's also great is it started as something that's about kind of about science and about country western music, and is there a connection? And it started with an interest in. From my perspective, in what did it mean that Dolly was cloned? Everyone knows who Dolly the sheep is, but what does it mean? We've spent hours and hours listening to Dolly Parton records. Let me tell you, is that you sort of realise that actually, to some extent, country western is also about those really big human questions.
So on one hand, I've got this pile of books about science and genetics and DNA and cloning, and a really interesting book about twins, actually, which I read. And on the other hand, a load of biographies of Dolly Parton, and that question of what is it that defines you, which of course is the obvious thing that once you start looking at cloning, is like, well, what is a clone? How much is a clone a replica of yourself? What is the self? I mean, all of those obvious questions. In a way, there is quite a clear connection there about that sense of, what is it that really kind of makes us who we are.
Initially there's a conversation, and it's there's this crazy idea. What do you reckon? Are you interested in going and looking at it, and then the ball is passed to Andy, and Andy goes away and reads those piles of books. And thinks the thoughts and begins to weave a way of telling that story, and then we'll come back together again and talk about that some more, and at some point, I can't remember exactly how it came about, but at some point we said, right, go for it, write a play. I don't think we've ever argued, have we?
Well, we don't spend enough time to argue, really, do we?
No, that's probably how we deal with that, isn't it? Yes.
Well, it's a typical thing when you're writing a play about something that you've researched, is that you put all your research in and you're explaining everything, and then obviously as you go through, you kind of pare that away, and it is, the characters become the characters. With most scripts that I write, I can really clearly visualise it as I'm writing it. And actually, perhaps more so than anything I've written, I really did get quite caught up in the characters, actually. I became really quite close, in a way, to the characters. Which sounds an odd thing to say, because perhaps you should be whenever you write plays, but I felt more so with this. So I'm really confident in just saying, it's yours now, and if you want to choose this song, if you want to cut that line, then I'm absolutely happy about that.
For me, it's about releasing all of the exciting things that I can see in the piece, and enabling that to connect with an audience. I know from the readings we've done of the piece so far, it's genuinely moving. It's very funny in places, and lots of the actors we've met have really brought that humour out. But there's going to be laughter, there'll be moments where people are welling up, there's going to be all the joy of that music and these characters, and in the midst of it, all this science. I think people are genuinely going to come out with a lot to talk about, and if we can release all of that, because it's all in the piece, if we can release all of that, then I'll be very happy, and that job well done.
Is track 18, so that's two of her greatest hits. Silver and gold, white light you lay home.
It was my birthday a few days ago, and people in the office, obviously put Dolly Parton, products into the Dolly the Sheep products rather into the into Google, and up came a whole range of stuff, including this T-shirt. I can't give you the web address, but if you get in touch with us via our website, I can tell you how to get hold of one of these.
Whose idea was this?